So most of us have got situation that whenever you go to purchase a computer, we realize that we don't know how to check most of the features. We don't know to check the cores. We don't know how to check for the storage. We don't know how to check for the software version. And actually, what you should keep in mind is that every computer is made for a particular groups of people. So we have got different users, for instance, businessmen, for instance, students at the universities. All those people, they can use different computers, but you know that there is a better computer at an affordable price depending on what you do. When we have got DJs, actually we need different computer for different purposes. For instance, all computers can do the same thing, but you should keep in mind that in terms of performance wise, and in terms of people who are using coding, some people need graphics card, others they need high speed, others they end up using the virtual machines where they have one computer and on that computer they put on other different computers. So that is what we are going to talk about in today's video. At the end of this video, you will realize which computer is better for you to buy. So you will realize what is the meaning of Core i5, Core i7. So buying a computer which is having Core i5, 12th generation or 13th generation, is it better than buying a computer Core i7, 8th gen? Yeah, you will realize everything because I'm going to take you step by step on how you can check your Windows and you realize which computer you are using. At the end of the day, when you go to purchase a computer, you won't make a mistake.
So welcome back once again. This is Tech Kevin. So whenever you go to purchase a laptop, first of all, what you need to put into consideration is seeing the physical state of a computer.
You use your computer every single day, but do you actually know what's inside it? Let me show you. And there we go. This is the inside of your laptop. It might look complicated, but there are really only a few main components you need to know. First, the battery. Think of it as the fuel tank of your computer. It stores energy and powers every other component. That's why when your battery dies, everything shuts off. Next, we have RAM, which stands for Random Access Memory. Think of it as your computer's desk. The bigger the desk, the more things your computer can work on at the same time. Technically, RAM temporarily stores the data your processor needs right now. That's why having too little RAM can make your computer feel slow when you have lots of apps and browser tabs open. Right here, we have the SSD. Think of it as your computer's filing cabinet. This is where your photos, games, documents, and even your operating system are stored. Unlike RAM, your data stays here even when the computer is turned off. Then we have the CPU, or Central Processing Unit. This is the brain of your computer. Every click, every app, every video, the CPU is processing all of it, performing billions of operations every second. But because it works so hard, it gets hot. That's why we have this cooling system. Think of it as the air conditioning of your laptop. It keeps the processor from overheating. And finally, this tiny component is the Wi-Fi card. It's what allows your computer to connect to the internet and communicate with your router using radio waves. And what's really fascinating is that all of these components work together. For example, when you open Google Chrome, it's loaded from the SSD into the RAM, processed by the CPU, and then data from the internet comes through the Wi-Fi card before everything appears on your screen. And that's it for the...
So whenever they give you a PC, all you need is to press Control Control Shift and then Escape. It will open the task manager. So if you, another way to open the task manager is when you come here, you right click on the Windows button, you go to device manager, and then just come here to the taskbar. Yeah, so you will click performance, you'll find performance, and you click. So here we see that our CPU is running, and then we see that the base speed is 2.11. so here we see that it is having Intel Core i7 and that it is having 8th gen, and it is having a speed of 1.90 gigahertz. So for a Core i7 having this speed, this is somehow good. Actually, we find that it becomes even more affordable. Yeah, so this speed is really good if you are a BIT student, a person doing programming. The CPU speed is somehow favorable, since we see that it is having a Core i7 8th gen and also having a 1.90, and then the base speed, which is a 2.11. so we see that it is having cores, it is having 4 cores, and we see the logical processors, it is 8, and then it has got a feature of virtualization. It means that it can support virtual machines. So it is having the memory, and then this memory, we see that it is having 8 GB of RAM, and then we see available, we see every details here. So the disk, so on the disk here we see that it is having the type, it is SSD. It is a solid state drive. Actually, this is better drive in terms of speed compared to HDD. So if you are purchasing a computer in 2026, you should make sure that it is having SSD, and you should make sure that the RAM memory, if it is 8 GB, you can upgrade it to maybe 16 if you are a BIT student. Of course, if you are also a DJ, yeah, you should think of means of really upgrading the SSD storage from 256 to it is having 256, so you should find means of upgrading it from 256 maybe to 512, or you can purchase an HDD which you can use to store all your music and files. So here we see that it is having the graphics card. This is graphics power, is it graphics power unit? So it is having the graphics card. So we see that the graphics card, we see that it's having 620, and then here we see that graphics card memory, it is 4 GB, and we are using 0.3. so a graphics card is really good. It will enable us when we are doing lots of programming and coding. Here it is, students, make sure that you buy a computer which is having 8 GB of RAM, and you can upgrade it to 16 or 32 GBs by yourself. By that, it will be somehow cheaper, and you should make sure that it is having graphics card. So for the DJ, you should just make sure that you are using a computer which is having which is up to date, which is having generation 12th generation and Core i5, but it should be new for low latency. So you should make sure that it is newer. Actually, you should know that a computer which is having Core i7 8th gen and a computer which is having Core i5 12th gen, a computer which is having Core i5 12th gen or 13th gen, it is far more better in terms of functionality. So for a DJ, make sure that you are using a computer which is having more feature, and you should make sure that you purchase SSD which is having maybe 256, and then maybe you can also buy an external HDD for your files. So for business students, you should just make sure that you're having a battery life, and the battery life, it can even take up to 8 hours. So screen resolution, you should just make sure that is 180p, and it is just fine. And you should know that you need maybe a 4K. Then just people who are watching movies, just you should concentrate on the brightness, and then you should on the processor, 12th 11th gen. Even a computer can be of core i3. So for general users, just you are just buying a computer, for just make sure that you have a computer which is having RAM 8. So preferably, I should make sure that your computer is having at least RAM 8 and is using SSD 256. Yes, everything will be easy, and it is in good condition. It is also important. So another thing I want to talk about is that when you come on this PC, right click, and when you go to properties, you also see the device name, you will see the processors, you will see the installed RAM, you will see the device ID, the product ID, you will see a lot of things. So we see the edition, which is Windows 11 Pro, the version, and then we see the installment that was the software installed that was installed on 24th, that was in the month of June 2026. And we see the operating system, so we get a lot of information. So we see that remote desktop can be enabled. So it is having, so when we come here to advanced systems, so we see that it also supports remote desktop. You should make sure that also your Windows is really activated. So we see the product key and activation. So we see that activation status, it is active. Make sure that your Windows is activated using the organization's activation services.
So I remain Tech Kevin. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment for more tech tips.